Okay, so a lot of people get thrown off by this question when this is actually a pretty straightforward and easy question because it says apparent solutions. So first of all, solutions are just where they cross each other. Not where it crosses the x-axis, not where it crosses the y-axis, but where they literally cross each other. So in number 12, we've got two different parabolas. It appears one of them crosses the other one here, and then the second spot where they cross is right here. So our solutions to this would be at -1, 3, and our second solution would be at 2, 0, and again, we always list it as x first and y second. So those are our two apparent solutions for number 12. Number 13, this one, it appears to only have one solution. So they're crossing each other right here. So that means that the solution is 1, 0. Again, it's x first and y second. Now, for graphing, I'm not going to do a whole lot of the graphs on here because a lot of this can be done on your graphing calculator. So what we would do is, I've already sort of entered the problem. So let me go back to what you should type in. So just remember, you're supposed to use this button for x. Don't use any other button beside that because it'll actually throw everything off and it'll create an error. So let me get out of this so I can make this thing work. So what we do is we can actually draw them both at the same time, and if we wanted to, we can actually trace and manually input values. So you can sort of see that in y1, we're in the parabola. So the parabola has a vertex at 4, 5. So if I manually enter 4, it's going to say that we're at 5. And then we can transfer those points over to the graph paper itself. So I would type in 4, I would type in 5, and I would just keep doing this until it goes off the grid. So 6 works, 7 works, and so on. Also, when I graph parabolas, I only do half of it because there's a line of symmetry, and that basically means that it's an exact copy of itself, so you could just reflect it across the line x equals 4. If you wanted to do the same thing for the second equation, you could toggle down into y2. So that's your second one, that's the line, and you can see up here at the top, that's how you know which equation you're in. So again, you can manually type in numbers and then plot those points onto the graph paper. Now as far as finding the solutions, we go to our favorite button, the G-solver button, and we're going to look at the intersection between these two, between the line and between the parabola. So one of them is at 1, -4. So I'm going to jot that down real quick, 1, -4. And then the second one, if we want to find the second one, we would just hit the arrow to the right, and that one is at 5, 4. So 5, 4 is the second solution. And again, I'm not going to graph this because you can just plot it yourself. It's all coming off the calculator using the trace button. And basically, what we're really doing is we're just making an XY table for each one. It's just that we're not actually calculating it. We're typing it into the calculator, and it's doing the calculations for us. The second one, there's going to be a circle on the test. So we don't expect you to know how to graph the circle, although they will give you the equation. The circle will already be done for you. Now the second one, it says, what does it say? The graph and the table form a system. So the graph's already done. The table needs to get on there. So we just plot the points from the table. So 0, -3 is here. 1, -4 is here. 2, -5 is here. 3, -6. Looks like it's right here. 4, -7. Looks like it's here. 5, -8. Somewhere about right here. And we go like this, and it looks like the only spot where this touches is right here. So we basically drew a tangent line, because that's the definition of a tangent line, if you remember geometry. So the location, oh, come on.
Festus, please go to the attendance office. Princess Festus, please go to the attendance office.
So that means that our solution is at 3, -6. Okay, problem 16. It looks like we have two parabolas. It looks like the first one's going to be facing down because of the negative in the front. Its vertex is at 3, -2. And then the second one has a vertex at 3, -4. And that one's facing up. Again, I'm just going to type all this stuff in. And then you guys can transfer it over onto your graph paper yourselves. If you don't have this particularly specific graphing calculator, the Casio, I highly recommend Desmos.com, or you can download the Desmos app, and it does a lot of the same stuff for you. So we got x minus 3 squared, and then minus 2. And then the second one is x minus 3 squared, and then minus 4. So again, we should already know what this stuff looks like. These graphing calculator tools, they just enhance how good we can draw the stuff. So again, we would use the trace button to manually type in values, and then we could transfer that stuff over to the grid. But as far as finding the answers, we could just use the F5 button for the intersections. So one of them is at 2, -3. And then the second one, we toggle to the right. If this reads it, goes to 4, -3. 4, -3. The next one, same type of deal. We have the square root and we have a line. So those shapes, they should cross each other. So let me clear out all of my equations. Clear out this one. So the first one, we got 2 shift square root x plus 2, and then minus 3. I don't know why this is being stupid. So minus 3. And you want to make sure that the square root line doesn't go over the minus 3. If it keeps getting longer and longer and it's covering the -3, you got to make sure to arrow to the right to get out of the square root. So we know this vertex is at -2, +3, or the starting point, or whatever you want to call it. The second one is at 2, come on, buddy, 2x plus 1. So we expect a square root shape, the vertical stretch by a factor of 2, and then a line. Again, trace to manually type in values. Now, I don't usually graph decimals, so what I do is I just I keep typing in values until I can get some whole numbers or some integers. So for example, I'll graph 2, 1, 3 doesn't look like it's going to work, 4 doesn't look like it's going to work, 5 doesn't work. Actually, let me delete that negative. 6 doesn't work, 7 works. So we should have the starting point at -2, 3, and then those 2 that we just saw me do, 7, 3, and I forgot what the other one was. And then you can, if you want, you can go to the other line, and then you can manually type in, I don't know, 1, 2, and so on. So to solve this, we just use the G-solve button. We go to the intersection, and it looks like it's crossing at -2, -3. And if you want to see if this has a second one, you just toggle to the right. Now you can see I hit this bad boy, and it looks like it does cross a second time. So it's at -1, -1. So again, just to be sure, toggle to the left, toggle to the right. And it looks like it hits twice. Okay, number 18. Looks like we have a parabola facing down with the vertex at -1, +6, and it looks like the second one is just a line. So again, you can transfer this stuff over to your graph paper just by hitting trace once you get all this stuff in. So I'm going to type it in, maybe, if this thing works. So we go like this, we square it, we go to +6. The second one is -x plus 3. So we got the parabola facing down, we've got the line, looks like it's crossing twice. So we can go into the G solver. We got -2, 5, and then we have, see to the right, 1, 2. And again, on your test, you should be graphing and transferring the graphs onto the grid. It's just that I only have 15 minutes using this program that I'm using per video.